Hello class, welcome to the recording for week 2. This week, we're talking about system proposals, assembling a team, interview questions, concept of JAD, and survey questions for users. You're to read chapter 3 and 6 from the textbook. This week in the discussion, it asks you to generate a system proposal. Just give a simple example and talk about the requirements and how would you justify it from a cost perspective. It should be at least 100 words, 1 APA reference required, 3 replies to others. Remember, your post should cover 3 days. And don't forget to check spelling and grammar. Assignment 1 is again to be 1 page of content. That means a title page, the body, and your reference page. You're going to come up with 4 to 6 interview objectives. You need to discuss the interview. How will you approach Leo? Would you interview subordinates? So an example of an objective would be more efficient information retrieval system, something like that. Then you're going to decide on a structure. There are 3 basic structures according to Kendall and Kendall. One is a pyramid, which begins very detailed with often with closed questions. Expands by allowing open-ended questions and more generalized responses. Is useful if interviewees need to warm up to the topic or seem reluctant. The funnel begins with generalized open-ended questions, ends with specific, concludes by narrowing the possible responses. Using closed questions provides an easy, non-threatening way to begin an interview. Is useful when the interviewee feels emotional about the topic. The third one is diamond. A diamond-shaped structure begins in a very specific way. Then more general issues are examined and concludes with specific questions. So you need to choose one of those structures and say why you would use that. Then you're to come up with some open-ended questions. Open-ended questions allow interviewees to respond how they wish and what length they wish. The advantages is put the interviewee at ease, allows more spontaneity, allows the interviewer to pick up on the interviewee's vocabulary, education, values, attitudes, beliefs, provides richness of detail, reveals avenues for further questioning. Excuse me. The assignment 2 is again 1 page content, title, body, and references, and you're to talk about a JAD session design. It's an alternative to one-on interviews, which can be time consuming, so you have a group of people. Oops, sorry about that. I always forget to turn my alarm off. Okay, let's see. Where was I? It can replace a series of interviews with the user community. JAD is a technique that allows the analyst to accomplish requirements, analysis, and design the user interface with the users in a group setting. Brings users into the development process. And user involvement helps create a successful system. JAD involves analysts, users, executives, observers, a scribe, and a session leader. So you're to research JAD, identify who you would invite to the session and why, write an agenda, outline what would take place at each stage of the session. And then you have the week 2 quiz, which is 20 questions. Maybe only taken once. I went over a few things already, so then I wanted to go over a few other things that you should remember. One way to think about problems is to think about them as situations where goals have never been met or are no longer met. You should prepare the interviewee by emailing your questions to the interview ahead of time so that he or she can formulate responses. Improvements in systems include combining processes, streamlining a process through the elimination of unnecessary or duplicated steps, reducing errors in input through changes of form and display screens, speeding up the process. When deciding whom to interview, include key people at all levels who are affected by the system in some manner. In an interview, excuse me, ways to identify a major point for a problem definition are: the users may communicate the same metaphor, such as saying the business is a journey, a war, a game, organism, something like that. Identifying an issue, topic, or theme that is repeated several times, maybe by different people in different interviews. It may be the first thing mentioned by the user, or users may communicate importance by body language or may speak emphatically about an issue. In an interview, opinions may be more important and more revealing than facts. The interview is a valuable time to explore key human-computer interaction concerns. Corporate objectives affected by improvements to an information system include improving cooperation with vendors and partners, improving customer service, and improving internal decision support so that decisions are more effective. Reading background material is most helpful in allowing the interviewer to build a vocabulary common to the interviewee. The importance characteristic of a good systems analyst is represented by the following statement: you should question everything. Bipolar is a special type of closed-ended question having only two options that are on opposite ends of this continuum, such as yes or no, right or left, something like that. Right or wrong, however you want to say it. Feelings are most useful in understanding an organization's culture more fully. After the objectives are stated, the relative importance of the issues or objectives must be determined. So you might pick a bunch of objectives, but then you need to decide what's most important about them. Feedback gives important information about the gap between actual and intended performance. One drawback of closed questions is the possibility that they may bore the interviewee. Requirements on a problem definition include security, usability, government requirements, etc. Constraints are often include the word not, indicating limitation. A problem definition contains a series of issues or major independent pieces of the problem. Analysts should be interested in improving worker satisfaction with the system, because that's part of the whole reason you change things is for worker satisfaction. I got most of this out of Kendall or Tilly and Rosenthal, System Analysis and Design. I'm currently working on the assignments for week 1. It's quite a lengthy process, so I hope to have everything finished by tomorrow, including the discussions. And I do allow corrections to some of the assignments, not the ones that are considered to be assessments, which are in week 3, 6, and 7. I allow you to make corrections, and you would create a new submission, and then I would regrade it. So I will post more about that when I finish the grading for week 1. If you have any questions about this presentation, please let me know.